What's up, y'all? It's your boy eBay Fight Predictions in the building, and I'll be breaking down the co-main event to UFC 284, the second fight I am most hyped for, Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett for the interim featherweight title at 145. Man, what a phenomenal fight. I love this fight. And a lot of people are wondering why I love this fight so much. I was really happy that Josh Emmett got his title shot, even though I felt like Cater got robbed, or I didn't think he got robbed necessarily. I thought Cater won the fight more clearly than a lot of people give him credit for. Or I wouldn't say a lot of people give him credit for. I think a lot of people thought Cater won. I'm not gonna act like I'm the only one that thought that. But my point is, I was happy Josh Emmett got the title shot over Arnold Allen, and yeah, I felt like this guy has earned his title shot. Like, I know, you know, the judges, it is what it is with that. But I felt like he had no, part to play in that. And man, this cat's 37. He's been working at this title shot for a long time. I wanted to see him get his shot, and it's a good comeback story, man. Like, let's not forget, his career was on jeopardy after suffering a horrible bone fracture to his face against Jeremy Stephens, and to see him, I think 4 or 5 years, later, to get finally his title shot in this division. It's a nice feel story for him, or a good feel story for him. I don't think he's gonna win this fight, but I like it. I like the matchup, and I like how he matches up against Yair, honestly. And I think this is gonna be a barn burner, man. I really do. And honestly, as much as I say that I think he's gonna lose this fight, and we're talking about Josh Emmett here, he can very much win this fight, and he really can if he fights the smart fight. Now, Yair Rodriguez, he's been a guy that has, both of these guys have been in these kind of discussions of one day fighting for a belt. Let's not forget, 4 years ago, man, in the lead up of, was it UFC 20? No, I think it was UFC 221, right? Let's not forget that. The discussions of featherweights were Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega, and Josh Emmett. And Josh Emmett and Brian Ortega were really up there. Yair was just coming off his loss to Frankie Edgar, so he was kind of like in the down slow. And Brian Ortega just got his opportunity to fight Cub Swanson. He looked amazing in there. And then obviously Josh Emmett was coming off an incredible win over Ricardo Lamas, and he was looked as a legitimate contender to that division, and one day potentially being a really good fighter. And then he got matched up against Jeremy Stephens, and he got completely derailed, right? But let's not forget, he was that guy. And ever since that fight, he's built himself back and is now in this interim title shot. And same thing goes for Yair Rodriguez. Coming off that loss to Frankie Edgar, before that, he was that guy that, oh man, maybe this guy could be a champion one day. Maybe this guy could fight for gold one day. He loses to Frankie, and people are like, I don't know. And he builds himself right back and gets in that discussion. Now, his kind of road to this title is a little different than Josh Emmett. He's had some losses, he's had some weird fights, and he's had some weird decisions. Both these guys had some weird decisions leading up to this fight, and you could call them fraudulent or whatever, but it is interesting to see how far both these guys have come to get to this moment, and how certain things had to work out for them to make it here. But it's insane when you look back at it. Like, man, like when you really look back at how these guys were talked about, and now that they're finally here, it's interesting how they got here. So yeah, but yeah, let's talk about the stats. Obviously, Yair Rodriguez comes with a record of 14-3. Is fighting out of Chicago, age 30, a height of 5'11", and reaches 71. Josh Emmett comes to a record of 18-2, phenomenal record. Fights out of Sacramento, age 37, a height of 5'6", and reaches 70. So that's a big thing right there. 37 years old at 145 is not a good thing. It's actually amazing that Josh Emmett has been this successful at that age, and he's been able to keep up with these featherweights, these younger guys. And Yair is really young. He's going into his prime, and I think, man, I'm expecting a sensational performance. When you just look at that number, 37-30, I'm expecting somebody to get lit up, and it's the 37-year-old that's going to get lit up, right? But as much as I say that, again, I have to repeat, I will explain in further depth. Josh Emmett can really win this fucking fight if he fights the smart fight. If you watch the tape and if you've watched the film, Josh Emmett can really win this fight. But he's 37 years old. Obviously, that's not the greatest thing in the world, but you got to understand the guy's, his whole entire momentum was derailed after, he fought Jeremy Stephens. Now, before that, he had this insane knockout of Ricardo Lamas. Probably one of the most devastating knockouts of all time. He missed weight, that is true, and he came as, I think, an unranked or lower ranked guy going in there as a late replacement, and just went out there and shocked the whole world and smoked Lamas. And he really put himself in the talks of the top 5. And when he got in that top 5 talk, man, he was the guy. And he fought Jeremy Stephens, and he had his moments against Jeremy Stephens. He hurt Jeremy Stephens in that first round, and then it's a weird situation what happened in that fight. But he got hurt, and then obviously the knee right in the second round he got hit with, and some people debate if that was really legit or whatever, or if that played a factor, or it should have been considered illegal. It is what it is. And then he got hit with a vicious elbow at the end of the finish, and it was just horrible what he got hit with, man. Completely fractured his face. And since that Jeremy Stephens fight, he took, I think, a year and a half off, and almost 2 years in between, and then he went on this insane 5-fight win streak. Fought Michael Johnson. He was losing that Michael Johnson fight until he won it. And yeah, you see Michael Johnson's very fast fighter, fast hands like Yair Rodriguez, and he was able to kind of outpoint Josh Emmett throughout the 15 minutes, and he was doing his thing, and then he got caught with a beautiful shot, a beautiful overhand. And that's the thing about Josh Emmett, you can't count that guy out. That guy has ungodly power. Probably one of the heaviest hitters in the division. Now, I know he hasn't had a knockout recently, but my God, the guy hits fucking hard. Then he fought Mashar Bektik, fucking stopped him with a power jab. Then he fights Shane Burgos in a fucking phenomenal war. Beautiful fight. Got 2 big knockdowns. Was able to edge that one. Fought Dan Ige. Some people debate that the Dan Ige fight was a win for Dan Ige. I don't agree with that. I thought Emmett won the first and the third round pretty clearly. And then obviously the Calvin Kattar fight, and I think this is on Kattar too for losing this fight. It was he didn't push the gas when he needed to, and he made it way too close than it needed to be. And Josh Emmett was able to stick in there as long as he needed to basically swift the judges' opinion on how they felt about the fight. I thought Kattar won that fight. Clearly, you guys can go check out my reaction to how I felt about that fight. But when I rewatch it again, there were some things that Kattar could have done to really make it more clear that he won. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons he lost was he was so driven to use the jab in the fight, the stiff jab, and kind of move and stick and move and get out of shots. And that's smart. You have to fight like that against Josh Emmett. But when you're just taking so many punches to the guard and to the with your hands up, obviously, right? It does look like you're taking damage, even though you're not. But to the judge's eyes, man, he was getting hit with body shots and hooks to his hands. It was to his hands, but he was getting hit. And that's what really kind of won, I think, Josh Emmett that fight. But I still feel like Kattar won clearly. Obviously 3-2, but it was a decent fight. I liked it. It was a good little scrap. And obviously, Josh Emmett, again, you can call it fraudulent, but man, the guy went through hell. So maybe he deserved that somewhat fraudulent judgment in there, because you got to think about it, man. That guy had his career legit taken away from him almost by a horrible fight with Jeremy Stephens, and for him to be back, maybe he deserved that kind of decision, that little robbery decision against Kattar. But yeah, man, now he's here. He's fighting Yair Rodriguez, and obviously Yair, his path to getting here is interesting too. Because, man, it really starts with the fight against BJ Penn, where he just completely eviscerated BJ, man. It was, I was like, what the fuck? And like, he got, after he did that to BJ, he got the fight with Frankie Edgar, and that was a big fight for him. And again, I said it over and over, Josh Emmett can really win this fight. And one reason is the Frankie Edgar fight. Frankie Edgar took this man down and pummeled him. I have not seen a legitimate improvement in the wrestling since this fight, because he's been blessed to fight a few strikers, and then obviously the Brian Ortega fight went the way it went. But if I'm Josh Emmett, and Josh Emmett's a former wrestler. Now, the issue with Josh Emmett here, going into this matchup, and if you tell him to wrestle, is the problem is I've only seen Josh Emmett shoot 2 times recently. Once was against Michael Johnson, and he failed to get the takedown, and another one was against Shane Burgos, and he failed to also get that takedown. Josh Emmett, I think, is a Division II wrestler. Let me search this up. Josh Emmett's wrestling credentials. My bad, y'all. I think he's a Division II wrestler. Wrestling. Yeah, let me see. Yeah. N-A-I. Yeah, he's a junior college wrestler. Yeah, he's all right. But still, you know, he was a good wrestler. And he has that ability to wrestle, right? He does have it in his back pocket, and he should be able to use it, but he hasn't used it in an MMA fight. And I just don't know if he'll be able to use it against Yair, if he'll have the mentality to use it, but he will need to use it, and if he's smart, he will, because Yair, in my humble opinion, has not improved in his wrestling. I just don't see it. And I mean, in Yair's resume, man, he has wins over Dan Hooker, Andre Fili, Alex Caceres, which is that win over Alex Caceres has aged well. Even Charles Rosa, which was a weird split decision, but I don't know about that. Then he had the fight against Korean Zombie, which I say, right, both these guys have some fraudulent and fluky, right, so how some people might say, situations in their career leading up to this moment, right? The Korean Zombie supposedly was winning the whole fight. To some people, I thought it was close, and man, I like the Zombie, but the fucking assholes that felt like Zombie was winning this whole fight leading up to that elbow. I mean, come on, you just to discredit Yair like that. I'm sorry for my PS4, but to discredit Yair like that is insane. But it is what it is, and you know they'll say what they'll say. They're still salty about it, but yeah, you know they'll say that he was losing that fight, and then the Jeremy Stephens situation, right? He poked him in the eye, and then even the second Jeremy Stephens fight. I mean, he looked amazing in the first 2 rounds, and I say this again, I feel like Yair doesn't get enough credit. He's one of the better strikers in the whole UFC. I feel like that's not talked enough. He's up there with one of the best strikers in the game. His ability to use his Taekwondo background, mix it with the good boxing fundamentals, and just good Muay Thai and kickboxing clinch situations and elbows, and his movement, his footwork is beautiful. And he doesn't get enough credit. His body kicks were fucking amazing in the Jeremy Stephens fight, man. He fucking destroyed his body in that second round. And he looked amazing, and then he got taken down, and then Jeremy was winning, and you could tell if that was a 5-round fight, I think Yair would have been fucked. And I think Jeremy might end up getting that. And it is what it is. And then, obviously, Yair took a lot of time off, and then he fought Max Holloway. And I was so confident he was going to beat Max, and he was outstriking Max, and I'll take that as a win, whatever, you know. And Max had to shoot for fucking takedowns, and that tells me something. If a guy like Max Holloway, who's primarily a striker, has a lot of success on the ground against you, man, what is Josh Emmett thinking? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he going to shoot for takedowns? He has to. It's the only, like, in my humble opinion, Yair's too fast. He's too quick. Yeah, you can catch him with a beautiful shot like an overhand, but the wrestling path to victory is there. It's right fucking there. And Josh Emmett can do it. I really truly believe that. I think he'll try to do it at least. And he has it there, but I don't know if he will. That's the only issue, is that Josh hasn't done it in a long time. And if you're expecting a guy to go out there that hasn't wrestled in like like a heavy wrestling pace in probably 5 or 6 years, and to do it again, it's fucking it's hard as fuck, and it's a very tall order to ask for a guy like that to do, who's primarily a striker, right? So that is something to look at. And then obviously he has so much success against Max Holloway on the feet. The calf kicks were beautiful. He did get hit a lot, which I didn't like, but yeah. But against Brian Ortega, before obviously the shoulder injury and you know the arm bar, from Yair Rodriguez. We all know Yair submitted him, but hey, it is what it is. I'll just be nice to the Ortega fanboys and say it was an injury. Oh, my shoulder. He knew that boy armbarred his ass, but whatever. I'll just be nice. I'll be nice today. But yeah, like I was saying, he looked fast and he looked good defensively. I like that about Yair in this fight, because sometimes I feel like Yair, he gets in that almost Hispanic pride, that Mexican fighting spirit, and he'll take a shot to give a shot. But when he fights defensively smart, that's when you see the best version of Yair. When he's giving you the shots and getting away from your shots, he's beautiful in there, and I think he's the best in the world. And obviously he was lighting Ortega up on the feet, and then obviously Ortega got hurt. But again, right, fluky situation. So both guys have their own little fluky, fraudulent situations leading up to this fight. But I love this matchup because, man, Josh Emmett can win this fight. He has legit power, and there is a path of victory with the wrestling if he chooses to go for it. My only issue is that the reason why I'm not picking Josh Emmett overall is that the age is a big glaring factor for me. The fact that he might have to wrestle and he hasn't wrestled in a very long time is going to be hard for him. And as much as I diss Yair Rodriguez's wrestling, he's not a bad scrambler. If you go watch his fight against Max Holloway, he scrambled really well in there. And if he can scramble for extra few rounds, man, he could get Josh Emmett tired. And obviously the body kicks are going to be something humongous, and the calf kicks, right? Josh Emmett's been kind of blessed to fight certain fighters that have only decided to box with him. The one guy that threw calf kicks at him and had a lot of success was Shane Burgos, and Shane threw a lot of calf kicks. Imagine what Yair's going to do. He's going to destroy that lead leg, and he's going to systematically break down Josh Emmett round by round, and then finally finish him in the third round. And I think Yair Rodriguez is going to get the finish via body kicks in the third round via TKO, and I think he finishes Josh Emmett. I think Josh Emmett, he's had his time. He's worked for his moment, and he's made it here, but I just don't see him seizing that moment. Yair's way too young, and I think he's gonna reach his prime. I really think he's gonna reach his prime time, and really seize that moment as one of the true younger contenders from that era of 2018 to really become a champion and hold that with pride. You know what I'm saying? Guys like Josh Emmett, Brian Ortega, all those cats that a lot of people had high expectations for, they've reached their pinnacles as contenders, but I truly believe Yair was the standout out of all of them, and I think he'll reach his moment as a champion, and I think he'll become the interim champion. I don't think he beats Volk, but I could see him becoming the interim title holder. So I got Yair Rodriguez by third round TKO via body kicks, and I think he's just better than Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett can win this fight. I really do believe that. And any of the Josh Emmett pickers here or bettors, I don't blame you. I think there is a path of victory here, but I just don't think he'll get it done. And I think Yair's just too good. I think Yair's just too fucking good. But that is my pick. That is my breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get this eBay Fight Prediction Nation growing. And yeah, I'm rocking with Yair, Team Yair all the way. But yeah, love y'all and goodbye. Your boy eBay Fight Predictions is out of here.